Welcome to another YFE Chat Live, the live show that happens every Thursday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm your host, Jennifer Donogh. Tonight's topic is all about 5 recipes for motivation. You're watching episode 112. The topic is all about motivation. Getting ready to accomplish our goals, figuring out what exactly our goals are, and if we still want the same goals to be really what we're trying to accomplish that we set at the beginning of 2014. Tonight's episode is brought to you by MailChimp. MailChimp is the best way to design, send, and share email newsletters. You can get started today at MailChimp.com for free. I love MailChimp. Who does not love MailChimp? Everyone does. Everyone loves them. So anyway, make sure that you sign up for our mailing list at yfe.me/mailed-it. That's the best way to stay in touch with young female entrepreneurs and see what's going on with us. For example, tonight's show is something that I emailed out earlier. And again, it's just yfe.me/mailed-it. Couple things, little housekeeping things that we talk about at the beginning of every show is that the Bootstrap Book Club is going to be going back into full force next month. It's going to be a little bit different. We're not going to rely solely on the Facebook group. If you go to yfe.me/find me in the club, you can find out a little bit more about the Bootstrap Book Club. But basically, it's a group where we read the same thing and we discuss it as people who are bootstrapping our business. That means we have no capital. We are poor. No, I'm just kidding. But basically, nobody gave us money to start our business. That kind of a thing. So anyway, it's going to be super fun in June. So make sure that you join over there. And then, of course, dailyactioncalendar.com. Some of the things that we're talking about tonight is going to be going along the same line of dailyactioncalendar.com. So let's go ahead and just get started into it. An interesting article that came up that I thought you guys would like was this Glamour piece. Have you checked it out yet? Really good. So Glamour, for everyone that doesn't know, is one of my favorite publications, which I don't know what that says about me. But anyway, it's, how do you say her name? Josiah? Is that how you say her name? She wrote this piece in Glamour, and I feel like a lot of you have probably checked it out now. It's all over the place. And she's basically saying, so first of all, I don't like this title, On Why She Won't Lean In. Thanks. That's just trying to drum up, controversy to get click-throughs. So anyway, she says in this article basically that she's not going to try and push herself because her what she looks at as successful might not be what the standard viewpoint on success is anymore. So she says, not only should we give ourselves breathing room to explore different possibilities, but to explore what it is that we think of as success. And so all these other publications are picking it up. I've seen it in Time Magazine, a lot of other ones. But anyway, so check this article out because it's really good. And she talks about what's interesting, and I feel like a lot of you other young female entrepreneurs might think it's kind of funny here too, is that she says, okay, I've become this very successful actress, but maybe I want to try out like owning a coffee shop, I think is what she said. And other people might not see that as something that is as successful or as worthy of being a successful actress, which I thought was funny because it almost felt like she was saying that would be an easier path to take or an easier way to be whatever. So anyway, check out the article if you haven't read it already. So looking at our goals and making sure all of that, I think that's a precursor. What is it that we want? Is it the same thing that we wanted before? Is it the same thing that we're still interested in? And giving us the permission, basically, to explore those things. And not only that, but what is the definition of success for us? That type of a thing. So moving on, going into the 5 recipes for motivation. These are the ones that I have kind of picked up from interviewing people through YFE Chat Live and also through just my own experiences that have been really successful. Sometimes we have to be our own pep talk, right? We have to be our own cheerleader. That's something my mom was always really good at and is still good at. People will call her just to get the nice little pep talk. I feel like we as entrepreneurs need to do that for ourselves sometimes, though. So anyway, our first recipe for motivation is consistent actions, creating habits basically within ourselves. And I feel like there is two ways of thinking about this, right? You could just go through each day as an entrepreneur, creating your day differently. Or you could have certain things that you do every day, no matter what. This is something that Tim Ferriss talks about a lot in his books. But another person that I really enjoy, that I feel like all of you would love to, is Drake Bear. He is a writer in Fast Company, and I believe he has a book that's coming out if it hasn't come out already. He wrote this article that I mentioned on Twitter, and I think I talked about it last week a little bit on YFE Chat Live, was I followed my own productivity advice for a week. And he talks about developing habits that you do every day, or taking consistent action, trying to move yourself forward, trying to love what you're doing, that type of a thing. I feel like I've said that type of a thing a few times now. But anyway, the first one is to just create these consistent actions. I'll make sure that I include all the links to the articles that I'm talking about after the show too. The second recipe for motivation is the shifters. Have you guys read The Secret? So this is something I talked about in GenCast all the time. It was an embarrassing little admission for me, was that I used to watch The Secret on Netflix probably once a week or so. And then I have the Audible book, and I listen to it whenever I'm in the car. And then I also have the book too, and I'll look through it every once in a while. And a lot of people that are part of that motivational life coaches kind of junkie guru kind of thing I've talked to, they discredit the book a lot. But no matter what, it's a positive place for positive reinforcement. It's where you can go to and get, a nice breath of fresh air, basically. And it's easy and it's very digestible. So anyway, one of the concepts that they talked about in the book was the idea that you need to have something that shifts your mind. So from one point, if you're frustrated because a certain person isn't getting back to you, or maybe you lost a sale, or if you have a client that's in your inbox at 6 a.m. that's yelling at you in the email, you have something where you can go from being in that negative viewpoint into something positive right away. And that'll keep you on track moving forward. So one of the easiest things that you can do right now for yourself, I feel like we all have our smartphones, right? They're constantly by our sides. So I created an album in my photos. Hopefully you all, if you've watched this, you've done this. Created an album that is called Shifters, something like that, that reminds you to shift your perspective, shift your way of thinking, and create and put visuals in there. So it's like your mobile, it's almost like a Pinterest type of a thing, but it's private, it's on your phone 24/7, whether you have internet service or not. And it's something you can constantly add to, and it's easily accessible. So just take screen captures of the things that you're looking at, put it in there. I even include pictures of my son and my husband, things that'll make me happy, basically, or remind me of what it is that I'm doing. So hopefully you guys can all try that out. That's definitely something that is a super, super positive recipe for motivation to keep yourself moving. The third one is the concept of Edgeup. So this is a big one that we're going to be starting to do with daily action calendar a lot more. Fun story. Talking about guilty pleasure books. The Trump card is a guilty pleasure book of mine because it's Ivanka Trump. And I don't know why I feel guilty or feel weird telling people that I love this book. I think it's because it's a simple book. It's something that I can read over and over again, and it's something that isn't full of huge concepts. It's basically talking about Ivanka Trump's life. And so anyway, in this book, she talks about how she, on Sundays, will go into the office, or has gone into the office for about a few hours every Sunday. And that was her way of getting an edge up on her competitors and her employees, basically, or the people she worked with, too, to make sure that she was seen as a leader. Also, when she would go into the office, she would take note of all the other people that were in there doing the same thing as she was. And it was just, again, her way of getting an edge up on people. So what is it that we could be doing that has that similar feel to it, that we can stay motivated, keep moving forward, and that is doing things that make us feel uncomfortable, right? So it's things that make us feel uncomfortable, things that others aren't willing to do, and then also things that help you move forward. So it's not something that just, you have your daily routine. We just talked about consistent action. Edge up pieces are things that really get you out of your comfort zone, like I said, that really push you into this new level. So doing that maybe once a week or so, that you can not only just take that consistent action, but actually do something that pushes you forward even that just a little bit more, is, I feel like, really makes a difference. And so our fourth point is kind of in the same line, is that having burst challenges. And so I call them burst challenges because they're not only just having that edge up on someone where you could do anything that makes you uncomfortable, but it's something that you're actually getting a huge amount done in a small amount of time, whether it is that you're being a little bit more productive with how you use your time, you're delegating more wisely, or for those of us that went to college, those of us that went to college that would procrastinate, I should say, where you had a paper due on Friday and it was Thursday night at, or Thursday morning, I guess, at 3 a.m. and you were still writing it, yet you pushed yourself that much harder, and you focused in on that single paper from 11 o'clock at night till 7 a.m. the next morning, right? And you made sure you got it done. Having those burst challenges where you say, this is my goal, I'm going to have this done no matter what by this specific time, and it's going to get me this much further in my business. So going back to our SMART goals and seeing what we can accomplish in shorter amounts of time, those bursts of accomplishments, I guess. So anyway, performing those burst challenges, I think, is something that will really keep us motivated. When you've had those lulls, think about Edgeup and think about bursts. Because I know that's something that's been super effective for me lately. So the fifth and final recipe for motivation is the pick-me-up entertainment piece. And this is something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. And I know you guys have heard me talk about this too, where I only watch funny things. And my husband cannot stand it. He does not like this at all about me. He likes to watch things that make you think and that are serious. So anyway, Mad Men has a new season on Netflix. And because I'm nursing, I've been watching a lot of TV at weird hours of the night. So we've been watching Mad Men. And I feel horrible after I watch it. I don't know about you guys, but I do not like watching shows like this at all. Like, you want to because you love the storyline, and I love seeing, the vintage everything, and it's just an interesting kind of a show to watch. But at the same time, things like this just make my mind feel crummy. So anyway, filling your mind with good things, so feel good entertainment or things that'll just put you in that positive place at a consistent level, but also, so we're talking about consistent and then talking about bursts, things that if you are feeling crummy or feeling like you're in that, having a lull, going in and finding entertainment that will shift your mindset, right? So again, going back to shifters too. One of those things for me is the movie Captain Ron. There's a lot of positive connotations that go along with it, plus it's funny and it's in a beautiful setting. So knowing what will easily shift your mind and put you in that positive place and keep you motivated, and I don't feel like it's talking to people. This is not the same thing. It's about something that is going to put you in a specific place. At the very end exactly what your mood is going to be like or what you're going to feel like doing. So it's something that is more reliable, I guess, than just having a conversation. So on the flip side of that, I feel like a lot of us in business, and I know I do this for sure, is that I listen to a lot of podcasts, I listen to a lot of Audible books that are around entrepreneurship, and it's hearing people's stories, it's listening to their advice, do this, don't do that type of a thing. Well, one of the things that I've been listening to in that same respect is this podcast by Allie Brown, and a lot of you know about Allie Brown. She's been on YFE Chat Live, and she is someone that I really respect, especially having her on YFE Chat Live. I've talked about this a million times. Nicest person ever, and nicest team ever too. So anyway, she has this Glambition podcast that I love. It's fantastic. But it's interesting. She says over and over again that there's a commonality between all of her guests, and that is gosh, I can't say this. Naivete? Is that how you say it? Being naive. So all of these women that have gone on, what sets these women apart and why she interviews them is because they are Fortune 500 companies. They're very sizable, and they're women that are very accomplished. So she has them on, and they all say something like, I didn't know any better, that's why I started this. Or I didn't know any better, that's why I went ahead and did this. that type of a thing. So I feel like that's a major positive. So if we're constantly filling ourselves with how-tos and that type of thing, it'll drive us further away from being on the bleeding edge, being on the let's create new things. How can we change things instead of, constantly listening to what others do and getting permission from people. So I feel like having that in mind whenever you go to have that pick-me-up entertainment, maybe mixing it up a little bit so that it's not just all entrepreneurship, it's not all just comedy, it's a nice mix of things, it's music, it's whatever it is that'll get us into that next mood set, but just being mindful of what it is that we're putting into our mind that we expect to motivate us. So anyway, hopefully that made sense. I'm going to jump back on chat in just a moment for everyone that's watching live. That was 5 recipes for motivation. I'm your host for YFE Chat Live, Jennifer Donogh. Every Thursday, by the way, I'm going to bring Stacey on in just a second. So if you're watching live, make sure that you stick around. Every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, we have a fun guest on that speaks to our community of young female entrepreneurs. Some of the guests that are coming up in the future are someone that does a morning rave event. I'm really excited to talk to her. Someone that does a mobile cupcake bar, someone that does a cloth diaper service, and a lot of other really cool ones coming up. So anyway, trying to create a nice, broad look, since we were just talking about, how-tos and do this, do that kind of a thing, trying to create a broad spectrum of people to come on as guests. So anyway, sign up for yfe.me/mailed it to stay in touch with everything we're doing here at Young Female Entrepreneurs. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel too, that's a great place to get started with Young Female Entrepreneurs and getting part of the community. It's really easy to comment below the videos and to find other people. Stacey Harris at the Stacey Harris is a big proponent of Google+. If you don't know how to use it yet, make sure that you connect with her. And she'll give you the lowdown on how to do that. So anyway, thank you so much for watching live. I'll bring Stacey on in just a moment. This has been Jennifer Donogh. Again, tweet me at Jennifer Donogh. Use the hashtag YFEChat. Comment below this with any other insights that you have on the video. Have a fantastic week. Hope to see you back here next Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m.